somebody knew her routine because this person jumped out the bushes and shot her, not knowing that she was holding her child. So that's how her child got shot first, and then shot her. So whomever it was had to be waiting in these bushes for my daughter. Yes. And so it's just a nightmare. You always think about the last thing you said to your child, or you couldn't protect your child, or
Just take your time.
it's been 7 years and it
Yeah.
feel like it just happened this
Yes.
morning, you know.
On the morning of January 19th, 2018, April and 3 of her children walked down the stairs of their apartment building, her 5-year-old daughter in her arms. Police said that with no provocation, a masked figure emerged from behind a bush and shot April's 5-year-old daughter still in her arms before firing again, killing April in front of her children. The little girl survived, but April was pronounced dead at the hospital.
My name is Tammy Fleming.
All right, Tammy. How are you doing today?
I'm blessed.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming to Street Mothers Podcast. Can I have your daughter's name?
My daughter's name is April Nicole Harris.
April Nicole Harris, killed 2018 in North Little Rock, Arkansas.
All right. And can you tell me what's going on with her today?
Today my daughter is deceased. She has been deceased since 2018. And it is currently an unsolved murder.
Okay. Do you have any other children?
I have 4 children in all, including April.
Okay, and she was the oldest, or what? Where did
She was the
fall in?
second.
Second to oldest. Okay. All right. So, with her case being unsolved, that's what we are here today to shed more light on her case, and hopefully, help you guys generate some additional leads or anything that may have not happened yet. Can you start off with kind of telling me, like what happened the day that everything unfolded with April?
Of course, I'll relive that day to the day I die. I have another daughter. She's the third child, and her name is Amber. My mom had died January the 16th, 2016. And that day April passed away, it was a Friday. And Amber was in the process of moving to Bartlett, Tennessee, because her job was relocating her. And Amber, April, and I always got together and celebrated the passing of my mom. So that particular day was a Friday, January the 18th, and we had all took off from work because we were going to do a combination trip of going to Bartlett to find Amber an apartment and celebrating my mom's passing that weekend. So we all took off from work. Amber and I lived 2 blocks away from each other. April lived in North Little Rock. So I was at Amber's house waiting on April to come over after she dropped her children off so we could all get on the road and go to Tennessee. And I received a call from her children's aunt on their dad's side, and she was like, "Hey, Miss Tammy, we just got a call. Michael just called in April and said April had been shot." And I was like, "What you mean shot?" And she was like, "Shot." And I was like, "Shot where?" And she was like, "It's a cranial injury." And so I said, "Okay, where is she?" She said they are on the way to UAMS. So Amber and I immediately jumped in the car and went to UAMS. And of course, they put you in this little room that you'll never, ever forget. And we sat there. I couldn't tell you how long. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the doctor came out and he was like, "Hey, we did all that we could for her." And of course, I just lost it. I was just like screaming and yelling and, because we didn't live that type of life. So,
Right.
we were like, who could have did this? And at the time, my youngest son was stationed in Hawaii, and I remember somebody calling him and saying, "Hey, April was shot and she passed away." And I remember him saying all he could hear was his mom in the background screaming and yelling. And then my oldest son, he was notified and came to the hospital, and it was just a nightmare. It was just that phone call that no one ever receives. And then in the middle of all that, I don't know who it was. Maybe it was a police officer.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a doctor, but they said, "Hey, your granddaughter has been shot. You need to get to Children's Hospital." And April had 4 children. And I was like, which one? She had one son and 3 daughters, and they was like the youngest. And so then we had to immediately leave UAMS, and I had to leave my daughter there and go to Children's Hospital. And when I got there, Autumn was in surgery. She had been shot in the arm. And so when she came out, she was okay, but her arm was in, they had to put it in a cast, and she just kept screaming, I know my mommy is dead. I know my mommy is dead, because I saw the man shoot her right here in her head. And so it's just a nightmare. You always think about the last thing you said to your child, or you couldn't protect your child. You know, my daughter didn't weigh even 100 pounds. You know, so what coward?
That's right.
What coward would do that? You know, first you shot her daughter, and then, because she was holding her child, and she dropped her child, and then he shot her in front. And mind you, this is in front of her other children while they were standing there.
And this was over in the morning, really early.
It was like 6 something in the morning. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So did the police like kind of think that maybe the suspect had been out there waiting on her?
Yeah. So to me, it's like somebody knew her routine, because this person jumped out the bushes and shot her, not knowing that she was holding her child. So that's how her child got shot first, and then shot her. So whomever it was had to be waiting in these bushes for my daughter. Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I have to ask this question just for, more context about, everything. So April, she wasn't a confrontational person that got into it with, girls, dudes, or anything like that, was she?
No, April really didn't have a lot of female friends. It was always, we called ourselves the Three Musketeers, because it was always April, Amber, and I together. She had 1 or 2 female friends, but April didn't have a lot of female friends, no.
Okay. So that's the reason why I asked that, is because, some people may say that, was that something that could be a possibility. Okay. So far as, dating, did April date a lot, or did she have a steady guy that she was with?
She did date a lot. She did have a steady guy, but she did date a lot.
Okay. So and with everything that happened that day, afterwards, how's the investigation coming along? Do you feel like they're working on the case, basically?
I think they are now. I don't think they have been as aggressive in the past, but I do think that they're working on it now, and we do have a relationship. It hasn't always been the best relationship.
Okay.
But I do see some potential now. They are working on it.
It's the 5th anniversary of the murder of April Harris, a single mother from North Little Rock who was ambushed and killed in front of her own children. That crime remains unsolved.
Pulaski County Sheriff's detectives say Harris's murder is anything but a cold case.
We feel like we know who done it. Problem is, when you got a circumstantial case like this, you have a lot of missing pieces, or a lot of pieces that you have to have, and we've got one that's still a missing piece, and somebody out there has that piece. Generally, you're able to point to somebody that got killed and say, well, this happened, they were involved in this, or this is probably why this happened. It's just the opposite with this. April was a true victim. I mean, that baby, that 5-year-old baby, is a true victim. There's actually nothing we've uncovered that would any reason why this would happen to her.
Can you tell me where this happened at?
It was the Chapel Ridge Apartments in North Little Rock off McCain.
Okay, and that's still considered Pulaski County, so that's the reason why they're taking over.
That is correct.
Okay, and what do you want to come out of this? I know, of course, justice, but what does that actually look like to you?
I want the person who killed my daughter apprehended. I want that person to go before a judge and jury, and I want that person convicted of murder and shooting my granddaughter. There's a monster out there somewhere. I don't know how that person sleeps at night. I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, I don't know how a person can shoot a child, and at the time my granddaughter was 4, and then shoot her mother point blank in the head in front of her children and sleep at night. There's a murder out there somewhere. If he did it once, he'll do it again if he hasn't already did it. Because he thinks he has gotten away with murder. And I will tell you this, if you're not caught on this earth, Judgment Day is coming. Judgment Day will come. But I do hope that I live to see this person apprehended and convicted of my daughter's murder and shooting my granddaughter. May God have mercy on his soul.
How are you been dealing with everything? What do you suggest for other parents that have, went through and experienced things that, you have after, April's passing?
Ooh, I say this a lot, because I lost 2 children, actually. I lost my oldest son in 2019, and I lost April in 2018.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
I would say, for me, the last thing you need to tell somebody is it'll get better with time, because it does not. You learn to live a new life, a different way without your children. So never tell someone, oh, it get better with time, because it doesn't. I went through so many phases. I was at my job for like 15 years and I couldn't function. I just couldn't function, and they couldn't understand why I couldn't function. And I ended up leaving my job because I just couldn't function. And I was so angry with God, and me and God had to have this long talk, and it was ups and downs. And I remember my youngest daughter saying, just like shaking me and saying, Mom, I know you miss Marcus and April, but we need you. You got to come out of whatever it is you're doing, because you're killing yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. You got to stop. Because when somebody say your heart, a broken heart, when I tell you my heart was broken, and I said, if I ever die, it's probably going to be from a broken heart. You got to have that relationship with God, because that's the only thing that's going to save you. It's not going to be your kids. It's not going to be shopping. It's not going to be talking to people, because therapy didn't help me.
Okay.
That didn't help me.
Okay.
Nothing. The only thing that helped me, and I remember this vividly, is I was sitting on my front porch, and I was like, God, I don't know if I can do this, because I was feeling like I wanted to commit suicide, but then I kept thinking about my 2 remaining children and how much they needed me, and I could never do that to them after they lost their 2 siblings. And I said, God, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I promise you, and people don't believe this sometimes, I heard God say, let it go. I got you. Let it go. And believe in me, and I got you. And it's almost like I just said, and he had me. And from then on, when I get up every morning, I can make it a good day or I can make it a bad day. I choose to make it a good day. I try to remain busy all the time. People say, you always on the go, you always on the go. But it's therapy for me. It's keeping my mind busy in my relationship with God. If it wasn't for my relationship with God, not even my daughter shaking me, if it wasn't my relationship with God, I wouldn't be here. That's what saved me. That's what I would tell a grieving parent. And if it's hatred in your body, let it go, because it's taking too much energy. It's consuming too much of your energy. Let it go and let God, and build your relationship with God, because that is what is going to help you in the long run.
So let me ask you a question, because you said you touched on the suicide. My aunt, her brother, son, which is, he just committed suicide yesterday. And so his dad had a heart attack, once he found out. So after I leave here, I'll be going to check on them and seeing how they are. So and then I was talking to a friend. So her son was killed at 15. And I was just telling her about everything, and she was just crying, and she was just letting me know, she just thought about suicide so many times, dealing with it. What do you say when you get deep depressed and get in that depression stage, to where it's just like you feel like that's the only way out? I know you said God, but like in this moment, because just the mention of the word suicide, she just started bawling. So what do you say to her? Like, just stay busy, because she don't stay busy.
Stay busy. If she has other children, not so much as put your grief on your other kids, because I wouldn't do that, because they're grieving.
And she doesn't. That was her only son. She, like she said, I never had grandkids. I never, so.
It's stay busy. Be with, I was telling my other girlfriend this the other day because she lost somebody and she said, I'm extremely depressed. And I said, do you take medicine? And she said, no, I don't want to. And I said, I didn't either. It took me 4 years before I would start taking medication. And I said, I can tell you that it does help me. It helps me tremendously to take medicine for depression. But I stay busy. I travel a lot. I like to garage sale. I like doing like decorating and refurbishing furniture. Me and my girlfriends, we get together. We've been friends for over 50 years. And once a month, we each put on what we call a ladies' night. And we do different stuff. I recently got married. God sent me somebody that's good. So I recently got married.
Congratulations.
But the key thing is staying busy. You know, you're never going to forget it. Not a day go by that I don't wake up and think about my children. I had a dream about my son last night, and he was coming out of a Wendy's, and he was getting in the car with some other people, and he said, hey, mama, I love you. And I knew when I woke up this morning, I said, that was nothing but God saying, he loves you. He wants you to know he loves you. You know, you have to find the positive thing. Live for your son. All the things that he couldn't do and he'll never be able to do it for him because he's not here to do it. You know, my youngest son started an organization in the name of my daughter, and the organization is One Race. And we try to get out into community and do stuff for kids. And Halloween, we do Bookaween, where we give away books, you know, uniforms, back to school stuff. Find that thing. If you sit there and you let it consume you, your mind is going to go to that deep, dark place. Always check on her. Always. You know, because after the funeral is over with, people tend not to call you, you know. And for me, people think, oh, she's so strong. Somebody just told me the other day, Tammy, you a strong woman. You know, I don't see how you do it. I do it by the grace of God. That's how I do it. I do it because my daughter needs justice. And I told my 2 surviving kids, promise me if I leave this earth and it hasn't been solved, that you will keep it up. Tell your friend to do it for her son, to live on for her son. She said he'll never have grandchildren. She'll never have grandchildren because he'll never have children. Okay, for those trips that he didn't get to take it for him. For those things that you would have thought that he wanted to do, you do it in the name of him. Keep his memory alive. If you want to start an organization, if you want to start a scholarship, if you just want to do a back to school event, anything, do all those things in the name of your son. Let his memory live on, because if she don't do it, who gonna do it? Nobody is going to be as passionate about her son as her. Don't let anybody forget him. And if you want to, you can get her my number and we can talk.
Yeah,
like
that'll
I said,
be good. I really appreciate that.
I lost 2 kids back to back within 18 months apart. If nobody else is going to care about her son, nobody's going to care like her. She has to make it known. She has to make sure his memory lives on. And it's going to be some dark days. Believe me, it's going to be some dark days. That's where she is going to need God. That's where her strength is going to come from. God. It wasn't my kids. It wasn't my friends. It wasn't my sister. It wasn't my husband. And let me tell you, at one point I was like, I'm so mad at you, God. Why? Why? And he told me, you don't ask me why. You believe why I do all things. You don't see it today, but you will see why I do what I do. You know, and sometimes I'm like, my kids aren't here to see that their kids, you know, they would be so proud of him. But God said, but you will be here. You will be here to see it. You will make sure that their memory lives on. I had to have a long talk with God. And when I tell you it was some dark days, baby, it was some dark days. And I still have dark days, but I have better days. And I remember my current supervisor said, you always so positive. And then I said, because I have to be. When I get up in the morning, I can say, I don't want to do this. So I can say, I can do this. And I choose to say, I can do this.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely some good advice. And I appreciate you giving me, you know, letting me give her your phone number. Because I know she be needing somebody to know that's been through it to, you know, talk to her. because we can only say so much that hadn't experienced it, you know.
And I know my friends at First Baptist in North Little Rock, once a month,
That's
parents
where we
see.
go.
Is it
Yep.
with Keisha?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they have that over there. And so sometimes if it's in my schedule, I go over there
Okay.
because Keisha is the one I was talking about saying, you know, hey, it's some dark days, you know.
Okay.
And I was telling her you might want to get on medication and stuff. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I think I met the girl
Yeah,
who
you
lost
probably
her
did.
son.
Yep, you
I
probably
met
did.
her.
Yep,
Yes, I did.
Yep, you probably did.
I did meet her there.
Because they've been members of that church. I know that's how I became a member of that church way back. They've been, I know, since we were teens.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
met her. I
Yeah.
remember when her son was killed too.
Yeah.
She got to live for her son.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to do that better than she will.
Mm-hmm.
And tell her, remember that. Make his memory last. Live on. Whatever he can't do, she can do for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so can you give me April's full name? And I also want your son's name, if you don't mind.
My daughter's name was April Nicole Harris, and my son was Marcus Dominique Fleming.
Marcus D. Fleming, 33, killed August 29, 2019 in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay. And you said, how did he pass?
He was killed. The two kind of connect, but I can't say how.
Well,
here's a quick summary of what led up to the events of Marcus passing. Marcus was shot and killed in Little Caesars on University in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was shot and killed by a man that he believed killed his sister, April. I won't say alleged because this is what was told to the judge by Jones's brother. Jones is the guy who killed Marcus in Little Caesars. Jones' brother also testified that his brother's roommate was the guy that was dating April.
But he was killed and his murder was apprehended and he is now serving time in the Department of Corrections.
Okay, and that was in Little Rock as well?
That one was in Little Rock. That's how I know Little Rock does have a victim's advocate and Pulaski County does not. Okay. But his murder was solved immediately right away. Okay.
And how fast did you get back to work? Not to change subjects, but to kind of bounce it back.
With April,
yes.
It was so with April, my oldest son was the only one that lived in Little Rock. Because Amber moved to Tennessee, and then at the time my son was stationed in Hawaii. So I was probably off about a month, and I will say I went back to work too fast. I did it because I didn't want to sit at home every day in an empty house and my mind just thinking. But I will say, looking back now, I went back to work too fast. And then I was at work probably about a year and a half. And then I got that call while I was at work saying, your son been shot. Now, when my son was shot, I was probably off from work a little bit longer. And then I went back to work. And then I think I took FMLA twice after that because my mind just couldn't function. And eventually I just went in there one day and I said, hey, I resigned. Because I couldn't do it. I couldn't function. And so when I wasn't working, when I resigned and I wasn't working, I was at home, but I was busy all the time. I had bought a new home, so I was busy remodeling my new home and doing stuff. And I kept myself busy and I gave myself 3 months to find a job. And God blessed me with a new job and within those 3 months. Okay. But the key is you got to stay busy. You got to stay busy. That's the key thing. But I would definitely say when something that traumatic happens, you need to be off from work for a while.
Yeah. And she took off and she's not even going back no time soon. But so after your son's murder, how fast did you get back to work then?
I was probably off 2 months.
Okay. And then you went on back to work. Okay.
And then I took off again, and then I took off again because it was just too much, my mind, you know. And like I said, with my job, it was just no empathy, no sympathy, you know. I just felt like the pressure was too much and they didn't understand because a lot of times people, if you haven't walked in those shoes, other people can't relate to how you feel. You know, I'll never forget my supervisor at the time was saying, when will you get back to being your old self? And I looked at him and I said, I'll never be the same person. I'll never, ever be the same person I was before. So if that's who you're looking for, that person is no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, that upset him because, you know, he wanted me to be the person I was before, and I could no longer be that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember he said, you just not the same person. And I said, I'll never be the same person. But he couldn't relate to what I was going through. And for him, it was just like, okay, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember one time somebody said, well, it'll get better with time. And I just looked at that person and I was so angry because I was like, it won't get better with time.
Yeah, you just able to deal with
it. You learn to live a new way, you know, but it's always there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when that happened to Keisha and Trinicia, I was saying, I wish it was something that I could say to you that would make you feel better. But baby, it's nothing I can say to you that's gonna make you feel better. Yeah. Trust in God. That's the only thing I can tell you. And it doesn't get better with time. I hate to tell you that, but it doesn't. Mm-hmm. In 10 years, you will still feel it, the full effect, like it happened just yesterday.
So, with your son's organization, let's get into this so that way we can, you know, help, you know, with some resources if you know somebody needs some. Can you tell me more about it and you know give us the name and how to contact you guys or anything?
It's called One Race Foundation, and it's a website oneracefoundation.com. And what we do is we go out, we do back to schools. We do at Halloween, instead of candy, we give books. What else? We actually named the street after my son in his memory. And of course, we have to clean it up. So we have cleanup days.
Okay.
Just anything that we can do to help kids, because we do it for April because April was a single parent. Mm-hmm. And now we'll say the kid's father have stepped up to the plate and look, these men are awesome. You hear me? They are awesome. But we always try to do stuff for kids, like uniforms. I had somebody reach out to me the other day and say, hey, I need help with uniforms. So I said, okay, let me get on my grind and get some uniforms together for this family that need uniforms. And we do that in memory of April, because April was so parent oriented, you know, and big on the kids and big on taking care of her kids and being involved with school. And that's how we wanted to make her memory have a purpose for her.
Right. And that's wonderful. So, and how's her children doing?
Oh my God. The two oldest are twins. It's a boy and a girl.
Oh, okay.
And they turn 18 July the 4th. And the three oldest children have the same father.
Wait a minute. They turn how old?
18. I know. 18.
Wow. Okay.
And the three oldest, they have the same father. And so the twins, they both graduated early. One graduated when she was 16 and one graduated when he was 17. And then the third child is going to the 11th grade. She wants to graduate early, but her dad said no.
No, okay.
Yeah. And she also said she wanted to be able to experience prom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the youngest, she turns 13 next month.
Okay.
And she lives with her dad.
Okay.
And she's doing awesome. She'll be in the 7th grade.
Okay.
And I just want to give a shout out to their dads, because when I tell you these men stepped up to the plate and they have done an awesome job, and you don't find a lot of that in our Black men. But I want to give a shout out to those two dads, because they've done an awesome job with those kids.
I appreciate you saying that too, because, you know, I see a lot where sometimes women will get mad at the dad and feel like they can't be around. And I was like, I even have some friends like that. And I always was the one, like, just because he wasn't a good boyfriend or a good husband doesn't mean that he can't be a good father.
And I got to give them their props.
Well, that's good. So y'all coexist.
Even the two dads co-parent, they make sure that the kids have a relationship, and that they visit each other, and they, the youngest usually go over there with the oldest every other weekend or during the summer. This dad will put her in, these guys are awesome.
Yeah.
So we all work together to make sure we all have a relationship and the kids have a relationship.
And see, I know one of them, and I know he's a good guy all around anyway. From just me knowing him outside of anything. So, okay, well, with that being said, I do want to thank you and appreciate you for coming to sit down with me again, because you didn't have to do that. And hopefully we can generate some more leads or whatever, to help move it along. I don't know what they're doing on the investigation, because, like you said, y'all got a relationship now and it's getting better. But, it's time to, get some justice for April.
Yeah, and I would like to say, for anyone watching this video, please share it. If you know anything, I was that parent that said, I would never think that this would happen to me. And a lot of times you see stuff and you say, oh, that's so sad, But if you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. Because you got to think about it. There's a murderer walking around somewhere.
Yeah.
And if he did it once, he'll do it again if he hasn't already did it. My daughter deserves justice.
And he was very comfortable.
Yes, he was very comfortable.
That's what leads me to
that's
believe
scary.
That he's done that before.
Yeah, that's scary. And if you don't have a problem shooting a child, and you don't have a problem shooting a woman in front of her kids, those kids stood there and saw that man put that gun to her head and shoot her.
And I just can't imagine anything that terrible for you to even consider doing something like that to her.
If you know something, say something. You don't have to give a name. You can just write a letter, make a phone call from an anonymous number. I don't care how you do it, but if you know something, say something. Because I'm not giving up on my child. And I told the detectives that until the day I die, you're going to hear from me every week. Every week, and I have not missed a week. And it's been 7 years.
So that's something I forgot to ask you too, because I know. So you suggest like a frequent call, like maybe like once a week or something, to keep them on their toes?
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes, definitely. Now with Little Rock, I didn't have a problem because they knew who did it right away. They apprehended the person and everything. With Pulaski County, it wasn't so easy, and it hasn't been easy. I did press conferences. I called them. I email. If somebody don't answer my phone call or my email, I'm at the door. I'm going up there every week. They know my name. Yes, stay on them every week. Okay. I've met with the sheriff several times, the chief deputy, whoever is on the case. Every week, I don't miss a week. I sure do not.
I know that's right, because sometimes you got to.
And it's been 7 years. If it take me 7 more years, I'm in for the long haul. That was my child. Somebody murdered my child. If I don't speak for her, who gonna speak for her?
That's right. That's right. And like I said, when I first started this podcast, it just turned into this. And I guess because, I used to live that type of life, so it was kind of relatable to some of the things. And so, I reach out to some guests, but a lot of the guests reach out to me, and seriously, like it comes a point in our life where you make a decision. Do you want to continue living as a criminal, or do you really want to turn your life into something positive? And I always knew I wasn't going to stay in the streets, But I do hope and pray, like I said, that you and other parents, find justice for their children, especially, if the case is just at a standstill and it's cold, it's just, it's even more painful to think about the fact that no one is facing justice, at the time.
And somebody knows something. Why won't you say something?
Because they done said something to somebody.
Yeah, somebody knows something.
And I had a viewer ask me on YouTube, they like, are you scared to do? Honestly, I'm not. You know why? Because I always been a firm believer, no matter what type of lifestyle you live, how you live, when God is ready, he ready. And your future is already set in stone. So no matter how, if it's my time, it's just my time. But I'm going to continue on with my mission and what I'm doing. I'm not going to be intimidated or bullied or scared to stop doing what I'm doing, you know. So
Yes, yes. Thank you,
well,
Jesus.
okay. Well, thank you again
You're
for
welcome.
coming.
Thank you.
And you have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much.